What's the best way to specify a clothing's size? Say an old pair of jeans that you're selling. If the tag size or the label size on the jeans says one thing, but you measure and they say something else. This is a problem that we resellers have to solve. Recently, this came up because Carrie at home, she's a wildly successful jean seller. She's been in the business for like 2.5 years, and she's selling more than $300,000 worth of jeans each year. She's unbelievable. Just wonderful family. She's got a YouTube channel about selling her jeans, and she recently brought this question up, and her approach was, let me ask eBay. You know the problem we have to solve. You're selling a nice pre-owned pair of pants, and it says, the tag says 32 waist and 30 inseam, but the pants, they have been hemmed and they've been shrunk or they've stretched or whatever, but the actual measurements are 30 by 28, even though the tag says 32 by 30. What do? Are you legally allowed to put different sizes in the item specifics or the title, or are we obligated to put the tag size? You know what the problem's going to be? Buyers get the jeans and they're not going to be happy. They're going to say, this isn't the right size. You lied. You sold me something that you misrepresented. I want to return these, and they'll open a return case that is an INAD case. Now, INAD means item not as described. If somebody wants to return an item to you, and you should allow returns, there are various reasons that they can choose to return something. It can be item doesn't fit. It can be I don't want it. There's a whole series of buyer's remorse returns, and that's no problem. You should not let that stop you. You should offer more returns. I've done a video on returns to show you why you make a lot more money whenever you allow returns, even though your gut instinct might be, I don't want to allow free returns of anything for any reason whatsoever. Well, I sure do. Amazon does. Walmart does. People a lot smarter than me do, because they make a lot more money whenever you tell your buyer, I will take the risk off your shoulders. You can have 1,000 returns, and it can be buyer's remorse type of a reason. eBay doesn't mind that happening. You would rather it not happen, but it happens. It's okay. If you're selling clothing, you're going to get some returns, but you should sell more clothing overall. That's the goal. There's a problem, though, if the buyer chooses a reason that is supposedly your fault. The buyer says, item not as described. Even if you don't offer returns, you have to allow that return. eBay will force it. eBay will take money out of your account and give it to the buyer. And if you did something wrong, that's a fair thing to do. eBay should require that. You should want to refund your money whenever you make a mistake. But the problem is, many clothing sellers in general, I do this, everyone who sells a lot knows to do this. Not only do you maybe take a picture of the tag, you might take a picture of the label inside if it's got the clothing size. You also show the actual sizes. You describe the actual sizes. You show pictures with a yardstick showing the actual size of the clothing. Who on earth buys clothes that is used, that's pre-owned jeans, for instance, blue jeans, and expects a used pair of jeans to be exactly what the original tag size was when the manufacturer made it the day it left their factory? No one should expect that to be the same. The first thing you do if you're buying any pre-owned or pre-loved clothing is, what are the actual sizes? I don't care what the tag size. Will the thing fit me? That's all you care about. That's all buyers should care about. Now, what Carrie does is what everyone should do. And she teaches this beautifully on her YouTube channel, Carrie at Home. Carrie will be selling a pair of jeans, and she will not only put in the title actual measurements, she will put in more than one picture. She'll show a ruler with her jeans showing exactly what they measure. And then in the item specifics, she may or may not put the actual tag size. This was really her question whenever she did her latest video. What am I supposed to do? I don't know, really. Do I have to put the actual tag size in my listing in order to avoid these INADs, these buyer returning things that are going against my account? It was so sad. You kind of feel sorry for Carrie, but we also can put ourselves in her shoes. She's talking to these eBay reps that are supposed to be helpful in customer service, and she's just going, I asked eBay what to do if jeans measure differently than the tag, and they didn't tell her. It's so terrible. They didn't tell her. Okay, I'm not one to bash eBay very often because I love eBay, and I love the way eBay treats its sellers almost always. But I can feel her pain here. I've asked customer service a question, and I've realized, and I know this is going to sound haughty, but I realized I know more than this guy knows. So I could totally feel her pain here. So she puts the actual size in the title. She puts the actual size in the pictures. She will put the actual size in item specifics or the tag size in item specifics. She'll put in the condition, although the tag says 123, it actually measures 321, as you can see from the pictures, and then she'll put in the description. Check the pictures, check what we say in the condition. Although the tag size says one thing, these are pre-owned, and so the actual size differs. So she uses all 5 places eBay gives her: title, pictures, item specifics, condition, and description, to let the buyer know these don't match the tag. And she still gets INADs because the buyers say this isn't the right size. Now, it's totally true. Many buyers read nothing these days. Plus, eBay doesn't even help much because the condition's kind of hard to get through on a cell phone. If you've ever tried to get to the condition, it's not always obvious where to go to see the actual condition. Often eBay doesn't even use the word condition. It says seller notes. Come on, eBay, help us out here. You need to make that condition on used items a little bit more obvious. And then, have you ever tried to read the full description of something that you're buying on eBay or Amazon or Walmart or any online? It's hard to get there. You have to push an extra button to read the description of something. So they're not helping a whole lot in that department. Now here's what Carrie did. She said, I'm tired of this. When I do everything I'm supposed to do, my account still gets INAD strikes because buyers, they're returning things and it's misleading. I am describing everything exactly how I should. So she recorded herself contacting 6 eBay customer service representatives 6 times. I believe 3 chats, and she did 3 on the phone. And out of 6 different support reps, you're thinking, eBay, what am I supposed to do? Do I put the actual measurements in the title and elsewhere? What am I supposed to do in order to avoid getting INAD strikes? Out of 6 different service reps, I think she got like 4.5 answers. One of them didn't even make sense. Didn't even know if they understood her, or maybe we didn't understand the answer. And the other 3, 4, 5, kind of all different answers. I don't know how you get more answers out of, do we do this or this, and you still get more than 2 answers. And it was all over the map. It was ridiculous. We're going to solve that today. Anything that's been hemmed, whatever, we're going to solve it. I'm going to show you how to fix this in almost every case so that it never happens to you again. And it requires 2 little extra steps. This is exactly why you're in the ultra advanced eBay way. Carrie runs circles around me when it comes to knowing and selling jeans. She's the queen. My hat's off to her. But in my 26 years of doing eBay, I know a lot about eBay. I know a lot about the ins and outs. I'm going to show you how to virtually eliminate any INAD complaints due to the buyer just not paying any attention to the sizes and to the pictures and whatever. Let me tell you what a lot of buyers do these days. They'll do a search, and anytime that you do a search on eBay, if you search for jeans, if you search for, mom jeans, Levi's 26, 28, or whatever it is, eBay often will not give you those exact jeans. They will give you several different sizes, several different jeans, even several different brands and types. Now you can use item specifics over to the left-hand navigation. You can narrow it down. You can choose a specific size of jeans, and eBay then will only give that size. But just general searches, eBay throws up anything close, it seems like. Hopefully most of them are very close to what the buyer is searching for. That's why it's our goal to always make our title match what buyers search for. Do the best you can at that. And so buyers will get a whole bunch of jeans. They'll see one they like. They'll look through a couple of pictures and they'll click buy. And a couple of pictures or 3 might show them the tag or the label on the jeans that says 3230 when the jeans are really 3028 because of being hemmed or something. I remember back whenever I used to work in the corporate world, I actually had my own tailor. But one time I went to my tailor and I said, this is getting too expensive. I'm going to start making all the alterations myself. And he said, fine, suit yourself. Okay. Since eBay can't help Carrie and all of you, I'm going to help you and show you how to basically solve this problem. I mean, no one's ever thought of this before. This is like a lot of things that you see on this channel. You'll never hear this from anyone else. This is exactly what you should do. It's 2 little extra steps that can save you a terrible account problem because people are choosing INADs. It can save you a lot of returns. Would you rather do a 4-second little extra step anytime you sell clothing that's pre-owned, or would you rather just deal with the return and all of that. Well, that's a lot harder than what I'm going to show you. Now, there's another thing to consider. At Chesterton's Haberdashery, that's a seller that's been around, sells a lot of jeans and clothing. Nice guy. I know the guy. He's in our group. He's in our Facebook group. You should be too. Join our Facebook group. It's free. You can quit anytime. You get a lot more types of interaction than you can in a YouTube channel, although I love questions and comments in the YouTube. This is where I spend most of my time. So I see things usually first here. But one of our members runs Chesterton's Haberdashery. I love this banner that he uses. He sells a lot of clothing. Women's clothing are tougher than men's clothing because you will get more returns. Ladies like things to fit exactly the way they like things to fit. Us, it's close enough. We don't want to mess with a return. Ladies will mess with it. In general, you'll make more money selling ladies' clothing. I should say they will sell for more on the average because they're worth more money. You'll sell more ladies' clothing than if you sell men's clothing. But you're going to get a few more returns with ladies' clothing than with men's clothing. Everything's a trade-off. If there was one right answer, which one should I sell? Everyone would do that one thing. But if you're selling clothing, if you're selling jeans, as we're primarily using here, thanks to Carrie who brought this up and didn't get a good answer from eBay. What Chesterton's Haberdashery does is anytime he lists a size, he will err on the side of caution. Let's say a pair of jeans measures 28.5 waist exactly. He might round that down to 28 in the listing. Because a pair of jeans that is barely too wide are far better than a pair of jeans that are barely too tight. We don't like too tight. A little extra width, and just in case the buyer's gained a few pounds since the buyer last bought jeans, it's more likely to fit without a bunch of tightness. And Chesterton's Haberdashery, I think, is pretty smart to be erring on the side, usually by, half inch, maybe he'll go an inch in the direction of helping it fit. I think that there's some wisdom to doing that. I'm not saying you should do that, but there's some wisdom in consider doing that. We don't like to be reminded we've had too many Krispy Kremes lately. I'm just saying. Here's what you do to solve the problem. You, in my not so humble opinion, you put the exact measurements everywhere. Ignore what the tag label says. Put the actual measurements in the title, in the pictures, showing with a yardstick or a tape measure. In the item specifics, yes, you put the actual measurements. In the condition, you say the following. Although the tag says 3230, these actually measure, as you can see from the pictures above, these actually measure 3028. And then in the description, you put the same thing. You say, even though the tag says this, they actually measure this. In other words, Carrie set the standard for everybody. But the answer to which one do I use is the actual measurements. I'm going to show you why. Now you still need to put the tag in the pictures. Let's look at one of Carrie's here. She has exactly what we said, the actual measurements, 3230, and then she's got a yardstick there, a little blurry, I'm surprised. Yardstick there, a little dark, I'm surprised. Yeah, she's been yardstick there, a yardstick there. She is going out of her way to show at least 4 pictures with a yardstick of what these actually measure. So she's title, pictures. She now has gone down to item specifics, 3230, size 32, inseam 30. Down in her description, please refer to the condition description for inspection notes from me. Actual measurements may differ due to the tag. Okay, she goes into all that. She's right. Here in the seller notes, thanks eBay, that should say condition. In the seller notes, it says, in good condition, tagged as 3432, but actually measures 3230. What more can Carrie do? Well, a couple of little things. Number one, she's putting the tag right here as the third picture. There's the picture that you see in the search, and then the 2 pictures down, she shows the actual tag, which shows 3432. I suggest that is too far up. This tag picture, and you should include one, should be way down at the bottom, like the second to the last picture. I don't know that I would put it as the last picture because a lot of buyers just scroll to the last picture for whatever reason. Put the tag second to the last. I think there's the lowest chance of that buyer being drawn to that tag whenever it's way down there. So second to the last, in general, is a good place, not the third slot for your picture. It's too easy for buyers, lazy buyers, you don't want to read anything. They get a search result, even if it doesn't exactly match what they searched for. They don't notice that always. The title doesn't exactly match what they were looking for. And so they just find the tag 3432. Yeah, that's exactly what I mean. Click buy it now. So move that picture down. But that's not what's going to fix this. It's going to help. Oh, I can tell you how to fix this. Here we go. Hang on as best you can. This requires 1 or 2 extra steps depending on the circumstances. One or both of these are far easier than getting a return and far better than getting a strike against your account for INAD. Here's the first of the 2 steps. The moment you see the sale of clothes that has a size difference from the tag over what it actually measures, I want you to send the following message to that buyer. Now I'm going to first show you a sample message, and then I will show you how to very quickly create the message. You're going to see my message and go, I don't want to type all that every time I sell a pair of jeans. I don't want you to either. I want to show you a real fast way to do it. I'm saying it takes under 5 seconds for me to do this, for me to send this message. The moment you hear the cha-ching or the moment you notice a sale, send the message. And here it is. Remember, you're sending a message through the eBay message system. So here we go. A quick note regarding your item's measurements. This is at the top of the eBay message. Hello, Sandy. Thanks so much for your purchase of the jeans and the trust you showed us. We'll carefully wrap your package and get it to the post office right away. Next paragraph. We want to remind you about the eBay page where you bought your jeans. There, we described and showed you actual measurements in the title, pictures, condition, and description. Now, you will also show that in the item specifics. Remember, I said all 5 places you use the actual measurements. You only put 1 picture of the label tag near the bottom of the pictures. Your jeans size differ from the label tag size. As you know, the manufacturer label tag size may only be accurate at the time they make your jeans. It changes if the previous owner hemmed something or light shrinking occurred with washing. As long as you purchased based on the exact measurements we showed and described instead of the label tag size, you should have a perfect fit. But if you went by the label tag size only, reply to us that this won't fit and we'll gladly refund and reverse the sale for you if we haven't yet shipped your jeans. Got that? If you're worried about this because you didn't really pay attention, but we're not telling her that. We're telling Sandy, if you went by the label tag size picture thing only, we understand. No problem. Let us know that it won't fit, and we're going to, and notice the wording that I use here, refund and reverse. I don't want to put the words cancel the sale or the word cancel. There is some suspicion that eBay will look for sellers who cancel a sale and use buyer requested the cancellation as the reason. Let's say that a seller who's not so honest sells something that they no longer have. They didn't count right and they thought they had 7, they listed 7, but they only had 6. So after the 6th one sold, they sell another one the next day and they don't have the item. Some sellers will write the buyer and say, sorry, we don't have this in stock. We thought we did. Would you like us to cancel the sale? Well, what's the buyer supposed to do? You need to make it right for the buyer. The best thing to do is to find one, send it to the buyer. That's the best thing you could do. You pay more. Hey, you made a mistake. Pay more. That happens. Mistakes happen. Move on, but fix your mistake even before your buyer even knows about the mistake. That's the right thing to do. Sometimes you just can't find something. Sometimes you have to tell the buyer, what can we do? Let me call. Obviously, I want to refund all your money and all that. But anyway, there's another video about that. But I don't want to put the words cancel the sale or even the word cancel. Anytime a sale is canceled, eBay has started to, according to pretty reliable rumors, has started to look at a few of those to see if the seller initiated that cancel first through the message system. I don't know if you know this, but eBay has full reign on reading every message we ever send or receive between buyer or seller. eBay doesn't want us off the hook if we messed up, and we shouldn't be off the hook if we messed up. That's not what's happening here. Our buyer messed up on this, and we're giving this buyer an easy out. So just don't use the word cancel the sale type of wording here. I say we will gladly refund and reverse the sale for you if we haven't yet shipped your jeans. Remember, you're sending this message just as soon after they buy as you can. You will have a lot fewer returns because this is going to catch some of those, maybe many of those, that went out when the buyer bought looking only at the tag because they're sloppy, they're lazy. A lot of buyers are. And then you say, we're here if you need anything, whether about your order or anything else about eBay that we might be able to help you with. We appreciate you, and so forth. This is step 1. This is what you do every time. Who has time to type all this? Nobody. That's why you don't type it every time. This is why, worst case, you just type all this once, and instead of putting the name, you might put a placeholder like all caps, first name, and instead of jeans, you might put a placeholder like item in all caps. And all you do is type this once into a text file or a word processing document and save it somewhere on your computer. The moment you sell an item that is pre-owned, go and copy that text and put it in a message to the buyer and change the name and the item. Now, if you don't want to have the name and the item, you don't have to. I like the personal touch here. I think they're more likely to read this when I say Sandy. Well, that's assuming her name is Sandy. Okay. I think Sandy's far more likely to read this message if I address it to her. I think that's important. I don't want to say, dear buyer, dear eBayer, dear customer. I want to put her name. And then I want to put what it is. Because she might have bought 4 things yesterday and paid for them this morning. And I want her to know these are the jeans I'm talking about. And if you bought them probably from the picture, they're not going to fit, but don't you worry about a thing. Just let me know, and I'm going to reverse the sale. I'm going to return all your money, and we're both going to move on down the road. Even better than this, than to save the text and copy and paste. I've told you before about Brevi, or now it's called Abbreviate. That's just a keyboard shortener. There are several on the market. I think Abbreviate's best. You type all of this into Abbreviate and assign a shortcut code to it, and then all you do is your code, and then the text expands. It's a text expansion program. Here's the way that works. I see I've made a sell of jeans, so I type size M F8. F8's my trigger key for Brevi, my keyboard shortener, and it starts off. A quick note regarding your item's measurement. Top of the message. Hello, buyer's first name. I'm going to type Sandy and then press tab. Thanks so much for your purchase of the jeans. Press tab. And it does everything for me. Now, I don't repeat Sandy's name, but I could. The word jeans is repeated here and there. And I just keep repeating jeans because I want this buyer to know what they bought from me. I'm using Microsoft Word to show this because I don't have a message to actually send someone, and if I did, I probably wouldn't want the buyer's information to be seen. Word is bad about inserting extra blank line between the paragraphs. But you don't have to do that in eBay. This is just a Word thing. I could fix and make it stop doing this, but I'm not, because I only use this for a message on eBay whenever I'm responding to a buyer. That's nice. Size M F8, first name Sandy, next word jeans, and it populates my message, and all I do is click send. It's nice. You have a handling time that you have to meet. If your buyer doesn't get back to you, then the buyer either hasn't seen it or never looks at messages or saw it and said, no, I bought based on the sizes, or the buyer will respond and say, no problem, send it, or no problem, don't send it. If the buyer happens to ignore you, you have to ship the jeans. And when you do, you basically do almost the same note on paper, and you sign it on paper. Now, I produce this printed message that is almost identical to the one I messaged to them. This is the printed one that's going in the package. I almost do exactly the same thing with Abbreviate. You can do it with whatever keyboard shortener you want to use. I type the letters instead of size M for size message, the message that I sent them earlier before I had to ship. I now am going to print this out, and it's called size note. I just made up the word size note. Anytime I type size note F8, I want you to generate this in Word, this document right here, and it does it for me. And it's exactly like the one that we read earlier, except this gets printed and put in the package. And it differs at the end because they're looking at the jeans they just ordered by mistake, maybe. If you only used the label tag size, though, feel free to open a return case and just use for the reason doesn't fit. Look at this. I'm walking them through and telling them exactly which reason to choose. And it's an accurate, honest reason. You are totally legit here. You're doing nothing wrong. You're not breaking any rule. You are helping this buyer. The buyer really should say, it doesn't fit because I didn't read anything and I'm lazy. But there's not a reason for that. Now, there are many reasons a buyer can choose as to why he or she returned a pair of jeans. Doesn't fit, don't want, found cheaper elsewhere, I think is one of the reasons, as well as item not as described. Most of these reasons are buyer's remorse reasons. Changed my mind? That's a buyer's remorse reason. Even doesn't fit is a buyer's remorse reason. Because really, and I'm glad eBay does that, really the buyer, even if they knew the size, maybe they've had a few extra Krispy Kremes this week and it just doesn't fit. That'd take a lot of extra Krispy Kremes in 1 week, but it's probably possible. So I'm telling this buyer, choose doesn't fit because it doesn't fit. If you get a buyer's remorse reason like doesn't fit, don't want, found cheaper elsewhere, you can get 1,000 of these back. Doesn't fit as the reason, and eBay will not. Now, you'd rather not get 1,000 back, but eBay will not put a strike against your account nothing. But if you get a bunch of not as described, eBay's going to start punishing you. They will start moving you down in the search rank. You might lose your top rated status. You might even be penalized an extra fee for every transaction you make until you get your account status back up and get a lot fewer returns that are your fault. So this is critical. I'm telling the buyer what to do. Just use for the reason doesn't fit and will gladly approve the return and refund all the sale when it arrives back here. Now I'm going to approve it anyway, no matter what they choose, but I'm letting the buyer know. Choose doesn't fit, and I'm going to approve it, and we'll get it right back. We're here if you need anything, whether about your order or anything else that might be of help with. We appreciate you, and so on. This is the note they see last resort before they try on these jeans. We've given them every chance. If the buyer didn't see the message earlier, because they just don't check messages, or if the buyer saw it and you'd already shipped the item, then the buyer gets the jeans and sees this message. But if they go ahead and tell you, whoops, no, I made a mistake, I wasn't going by the actual measurements that you so well gave me, I do need you to reverse this sale, then if you've shipped, you can't. You have to let them know, I'm sorry, I've shipped. But there's a note in there telling you exactly what to do. Easy peasy, won't cost you a penny, you'll get all your money back. I suggest if it gets this far and your buyer reads this note and realizes these aren't going to fit, the buyer's going to do exactly what you said. And what am I supposed to, okay, I don't know how to do a return. What do I do? Feel free to open a return case, okay, and just use for the reason doesn't fit, and we'll gladly approve, okay, and they start doing it, and they send it back. There are some buyers that are jerks. There are some buyers that won't even read any of these reasons. They're just going to pick the first one. Maybe it says INAD item not as described. You still might get a few, but they are going to be dramatically lower. One, you're going to get a dramatically less number of returns because you will ship fewer returned items from that initial message. Second, step 2, this step is going to dramatically reduce the number of INADs that you get. Now, this is one of those ultra advanced tips you're not going to see anywhere else. You're just not. It's not bragging if it's true. If you do this, you have to admit, you will greatly increase your chance for a stronger eBay account with fewer strikes against you the moment you begin implementing this practice. Usually you only need to send a message. For the buyers that don't see it in time, you send a piece of paper. This is going to ensure that your buyers are happier. This is going to ensure that your account is stronger with a lot fewer strikes against you. Having this in your reselling arsenal, this strategy that I just outlined for you, it's going to make your account stronger, it's going to make your buyers happier, and it's going to make you more money.